Hi, I'm Sophia. Welcome to Love Advice Channel. Here you'll learn practical relationship advice, dating insights, and the psychology of healthy love. Let's get started. He was all in, texting you every morning, making plans, laughing with you until midnight, looking at you like you were the only person in the room. And then, almost overnight, he went cold, not gone, just distant, slower to reply, less warm, like someone quietly turned a dial down and forgot to tell you. And you're sitting there, replaying every conversation, every moment, every word, trying to figure out what you did wrong. If you've ever felt that sudden, gut-dropping shift, that terrifying moment when someone who felt so close suddenly feels so far, then this video is going to be one of the most important things you ever watch. Because the reason men pull away after getting close is not what you think it is. And what smart women do in that moment, instead of panicking, instead of chasing, instead of shrinking, is something most women are never taught. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this happens, what it actually means, and the precise moves that keep you powerful, grounded, and irresistible, no matter what he does next. Let's go. I need you to know something first. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not imagining things. The shift you felt was real. The warmth that was there and then wasn't, that was real too. And the worst part isn't the distance itself. The worst part is what the distance does to you. You start monitoring, checking his last scene, counting the hours between replies, analyzing his tone. Is he cold or just tired? Is this serious or am I overreacting? You've been trying so hard to hold it together, trying to seem cool and calm on the outside, while inside you're terrified that the best thing that's come into your life in years is quietly slipping away. And so you do what feels natural. You reach out more. You try to recreate the closeness. You ask, "Are you okay?" Or, "Did I do something wrong?" You pour more energy into the situation, hoping it fills whatever gap has appeared. And then, somehow, he pulls back even further. This is the pattern that breaks women, not because they're weak, but because nobody ever explained it to them properly. Here's what I want to give you today, not just an explanation, not just comfort, but a strategy. A real, grounded, powerful set of moves that smart women make when a man pulls away, moves that protect their self-worth, preserve the relationship's chance, and most importantly, keep them in a position of dignity and strength. Because the women who handle this best, they don't just keep the relationship, they completely change the dynamic. And the man who pulled away almost always comes back more committed than before. Let's break this down. Here's the first thing you need to understand, and this alone might shift everything. For many men, emotional closeness triggers something that feels almost like a warning signal. Not because they don't want it, not because they don't feel it, but because feeling it is unfamiliar territory. Think about how most men are raised. From the time they're small boys, the message they receive from culture, from fathers, from peers, is that needing someone is weakness. That vulnerability is dangerous. That emotions are something you manage alone, privately, without showing your hand. And then you come along, and things get real. And for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, he starts to feel something, something that pulls at him, something that scares him because it means he could lose something. It means he's no longer protected by indifference. And his instinct, his deeply conditioned, completely unconscious instinct, is to pull back, to create space, to reestablish a sense of control before he goes any deeper. Picture a man named Daniel. For months, he and a woman named Sarah had been building something beautiful. He was warm, consistent, present, and then one evening, they had one of those rare, honest conversations, the kind where you say things you've never said to anyone, and Daniel felt it. Something opened up in him that night, something he hadn't expected. And the next day, he went quiet, not because he didn't care about Sarah, but because he cared too much, and that terrified him. When a man pulls away after getting close, he's not rejecting you. He's often retreating from the intensity of what he feels. But here's where it gets interesting. Men are not always as clear about their emotions as women are. I know that's not a revelation. But here's the part that is worth paying attention to. When a man pulls back slightly after a period of closeness, he is often, consciously or not, testing something, not testing you, testing himself, asking himself, do I actually want this? Is this real? Do I miss her when she's not around? It sounds almost infuriating, doesn't it? That a man might need to create distance just to check if he feels it. But think about it from his perspective. He's been conditioned to suppress his emotions. He doesn't naturally have fluency in what he's feeling. So, distance becomes a diagnostic tool. He pulls away, and in the quiet that follows, he pays attention to what comes up. Does he miss you? Does he think about you? Does the space feel like relief? Or does it feel like something's missing? And here's the twist. The woman who doesn't chase him in that moment, the woman who stays in her own life, who doesn't flood him with texts, who doesn't make the distance dramatic, that woman gives him exactly the environment he needs to realize clearly and undeniably that yes, he wants her, he misses her, he made a mistake. Emma had been seeing someone for 2 months. When he went quiet for a few days, her first instinct was to reach out, to ask what was wrong. But instead, she waited. She went to a yoga class. She had dinner with her friends. She gave herself permission to just live. On day 3, he texted, I've been in my head this week. I think I was just overwhelmed by how much I like you. Can I see you tonight? Emma didn't chase, and the answer came to her. A man who pulls away to test his own feelings will find his answer faster and more honestly when you give him space to feel your absence. Now, this next one might surprise you. I want to say something here that takes courage to say and takes courage to hear. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, when a man pulls away after getting close, it's because something shifted in the dynamic. And that something is you, not in a cruel way, not in a you did something wrong way, but in a very human, very understandable way that happens to almost every woman who starts falling for someone she genuinely wants. She starts making him the center of her world. She starts being available every time he calls. She starts reorganizing her schedule around his. She stops talking about her own life, her own goals, her own excitement, because all of that energy has redirected itself toward him. And slowly, without either of them realizing it, she goes from being a full, fascinating person with her own orbit to being someone whose orbit revolves entirely around his. And men, even the ones who are genuinely attached, lose something when that happens. They lose the version of you they fell for, the one who had places to be, things she cared about, a life that was distinctly hers. Think about that for a second. What first attracted him wasn't your availability. It was your aliveness, your opinions, your passion, the sense that you had a whole rich inner world that he wanted to be let into. When that disappears, when you become a mirror that only reflects him back to himself, the attraction quietly fades. Not because he doesn't care, but because the thing he cared about has gone quiet. A woman named Rachel had been seeing James for 2 months. In the beginning, she talked about her business idea at dinner. She took weekend trips with her friends. She sometimes couldn't meet up because she had things she was genuinely excited about. James was obsessed with her. Then she fell harder for him. And gradually, meal by meal, weekend by weekend, her world got smaller. She started saying yes to everything he suggested. She stopped mentioning her business idea. She waited for his plans instead of making her own. James didn't know how to explain it, but something had changed. He started pulling away. He wasn't being cruel. He was responding to a shift he couldn't articulate, that the woman who had captivated him had quietly left the room. The most magnetic thing you can do for a relationship is remain a full, thriving, fascinating person, with or without him watching. And if you think that was powerful, wait for this. Here is something almost no one talks about. Men pull away sometimes not because they want less, but because they don't have the language for what they're going through. He's overwhelmed. He's confused by his own feelings. He's dealing with something at work or something in his family or something deep in his own psychology that he doesn't know how to put into words. And because he doesn't know how to say, I'm struggling and I need to be in my head for a while, he just goes quiet. He doesn't mean to hurt you. He doesn't even fully understand that he's doing it. His version of self-care is withdrawal. His version of processing is silence, and he assumes, wrongly but genuinely, that you'll just understand. You don't. Of course you don't, because no one told you that was what was happening. So what does a smart woman do in this moment? She doesn't interrogate. She doesn't send a paragraph at midnight asking where his head is. She doesn't make his emotional unavailability into a crisis that she has to solve. Instead, she does one simple, quiet, powerful thing. She reaches out once, warmly, briefly, with zero pressure. Something like, "Hey, I notice you've been a bit quiet. No pressure at all. Just want you to know I'm here if you need me." And then she returns to her life. That message does three things at once. It shows him she's perceptive, it shows him she's not reactive, and it shows him, perhaps most powerfully, that she is not going to punish him for being human. That kind of woman, she becomes someone he trusts completely, someone he comes back to, because she gave him the one thing almost no one ever gives him, the space to be imperfect without judgment. One calm, warm message followed by silence is more powerful than 10 anxious ones because it shows him what kind of partner you already are. But here's something most women never consider. Okay, we've talked about why he pulls away. Now let's talk about you, about what the smartest, most magnetic women actually do when this happens. And the first move, the most important move, might be the opposite of what you expect. They invest in themselves, not as a tactic, not as a game, as a genuine commitment to their own life, their own joy, their own growth, completely independent of what he does next. They sign up for that class they've been putting off. They book the trip with the friend they haven't seen in months. They work on the project they've been neglecting. They go to the gym not to look good for him, but because moving their body makes them feel like themselves again. Why does this work? Because it does two things simultaneously. First, it keeps you grounded. When you're actively living your life, his silence doesn't collapse your world. You have things to think about, things to look forward to, things that make you feel capable and alive. His pullback becomes a footnote, not a catastrophe. Second, and this is the part people underestimate, it genuinely changes your energy, and men feel that energy shift. When a man pulls away and you respond by shrinking, by waiting, by worrying, by making him the only subject in your mind, he senses that, and it confirms the withdrawal. But when you respond by expanding, by quietly, confidently, joyfully returning to your own life, he senses that too, and it creates something he didn't expect: curiosity, the pull to come back. The woman who thrives in his absence becomes the woman he fights to return to. And now this move. This one is the one that separates the women who get the love they deserve from the ones who keep settling for less. This is where we talk about standards, not demands, not ultimatums, not threats, standards. And there is a profound difference. An ultimatum sounds like, "If you keep pulling away, I'm leaving." It comes from panic, from fear, from a place of, "I don't know what else to do." A standard sounds like, "I want something real. I want consistency. I want someone who shows up. And if this isn't moving in that direction, I deserve to know, and so do you." A standard comes from clarity, from self-respect, from a deep-rooted understanding that your time and your heart have value. Smart women, when a man continues to pull away without explanation, without effort, without any sign of course correction, don't wait indefinitely in hope. They initiate a calm, honest conversation. Not accusatory, not emotional, not at 11 p.m. after 2 glasses of wine. Clear, grounded, direct. Something like, "I like what we've been building, and I've noticed a shift lately. I'm not here to pressure you, but I do want to be honest. I'm looking for something real and consistent, and I need to know if that's something you want too." That conversation, delivered calmly from a place of self-worth, is one of the most attractive things a woman can do, because it tells him something crucial. She is not endlessly elastic. She has a sense of her own value. She is not afraid of the answer, because she trusts herself to handle it either way. That kind of woman commands respect, even from men who are still figuring themselves out. A woman who clearly, calmly states what she needs is not too much. She is exactly enough, and the right man will rise to meet her. And now we arrive at the final move, the one that ties everything together, the one that, more than any other, defines whether you come through this stronger or defeated. This is the one that matters most. More than the strategy, more than the messages and the timing and the steps, more than any tactic I could ever give you, trust yourself. Because here is the truth no one wants to say out loud. Sometimes men pull away and they come back. Better, more committed, more open than before. And everything you're hoping for becomes real. And sometimes they don't come back. Or they come back, but as the same person, offering the same inconsistency, the same half presence, the same version of love that never quite reaches you. And the only way you navigate both of those possibilities, with your dignity intact, with your heart still open, with your sense of self still whole, is by trusting yourself. Trusting that you can handle the outcome, whatever it is. Trusting that you know the difference between a man who is temporarily scared and one who is simply not ready or not right. Trusting that the clarity you've built about what you want, what you deserve, what you will and won't accept is more valuable than any relationship that asks you to shrink below it. Smart women don't chase men who pull away. They don't panic. They don't perform indifference they don't feel. They don't manipulate or strategize or play games. They stand in their own light, calmly, powerfully, patiently, and they trust with every part of themselves that the love that's meant for them will not require them to beg, shrink, or dim. I want you to think about a woman in your life, or maybe it's you, who has been so focused on keeping a man interested that she forgot to ask, does this man deserve my interest? Because that shift from how do I keep him to does he deserve to keep me, that is the shift that changes everything. That is the shift that turns you from a woman who waits to a woman who chooses. And choosing, real, clear-eyed, self-respecting choosing, is the most attractive force in the universe. The woman who trusts herself completely will never be destroyed by a man who pulls away, because her foundation was never built on him. Let's bring this home. 7 things, 7 truths that smart women understand when a man pulls away. He may be afraid of his own feelings. That's about him, not you. He may be testing what he feels in the silence. Give him that silence and let him find his answer. You may have stopped being fully yourself. Come back to you. That's where your power lives. He may not have the language for what he's going through. One warm message, then return to your life. And the moves that smart women make, they invest in themselves first, not as a game, but as a commitment to their own joy. They set standards, clearly, calmly, from a place of self-worth. And above all, they trust themselves to handle the outcome, to know their own value, to choose a love that is worthy of them. Here's what I want you to take away from today, not as a strategy, not as a script, but as a truth. You are not a supporting character in someone else's story. You are not a placeholder. You are not someone who exists on standby, waiting for a man to decide whether you're worth his consistency. You are a whole, extraordinary, irreplaceable person. And the love you deserve, the love that is meant for you, will not require you to make yourself smaller to receive it. So the next time he pulls away, don't panic, don't chase, don't shrink. Stand up straight, return to your life, trust yourself, and watch what happens when a woman who fully knows her own worth walks calmly, confidently, through her own door, with or without him following. That woman changes everything. This is your moment. Don't waste it. If this video spoke to you, if somewhere in these last 20 minutes you felt something shift, then I want you to subscribe to this channel right now, because this is what we do here. Every single week, we go deeper into the psychology of love, the patterns that trap us, and the mindset that sets us free. And after you subscribe, watch this video next. 7 signs. He's emotionally attached to you, even if he never says it. It will show you exactly how to read what a man is feeling when his words fall short. I'm Sophia, and I will see you there.